Running at my pace. Jordan 1s, gotta keep them laced.
What is up, Best Ones Worldwide? It's the Best One DBTV here, back with a rare basketball video. Feel like I have not done this in a while, just sitting at my computer talking about basketball. If you're not a Best One yet already, and you're a Brooklyn Nets fan like myself, recommend you to hit that subscribe button now, turn on the post notifications. Don't know how consistent I'm going to be uploading content on here throughout the offseason, but I want to talk about the Boston Celtics because yesterday they finally defeated the Mavs in 5 games to win their first NBA championship since 2008. And obviously, as a Brooklyn Nets fan, it hurts so much to see the Boston Celtics win a championship with 2 superstars that could have been Brooklyn Net players if we never did the Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett trade going all the way back to 2013. Fuck you, Billy King. I still haven't forgotten. And it just hurts to see that 2 homegrown stars in Boston, the Celtics, Brad Stevens, they were able to put together just a great all-around team to really help them win. And despite how much I despise and hate the Boston Celtics, I do want to say congratulations to them on winning the NBA championship. Oh man, like, we could have had a championship in Brooklyn if KD's toe is not on that freaking line. But it is what it is. We do have to move forward. And Boston Celtics, they are in a great position right now. Just great overall team. Even though, in my opinion, they did have the easiest path to the NBA Finals, they still ended up winning it. And I feel like if it was any of our teams, even if you're not a Brooklyn Nets fan or a Celtics fan watching this video, a championship is a championship. Even Los Angeles Laker fans. In 2020, everybody likes to make the Mickey Mouse meme, and they like to make the Mickey Mouse jokes, but realistically, they still won an NBA championship. And that can't be taken away from LeBron James and Anthony Davis, or any of those guys that won back in the bubble. But the Celtics, because in case you guys don't know, I live in the Boston area, so yeah, I just never hear the end of it when it comes to Boston Celtic things, and it just drives me absolutely nuts that now I am just never going to hear the end of it, because technically the Brooklyn Nets were the reason why the Boston Celtics won a championship. It's all thanks to that trade that Billy King made, because if it wasn't for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, the Celtics, who knows where they would be. I think eventually they would have acquired some good players and stuff, but I don't think they would have a championship by now if we didn't give them that jump start. So, if you're a Celtics fan and you're just watching me rant right now about my Brooklyn Nets, I think not only myself, but the Brooklyn Nets organization as a whole deserves a big thank you. Because if it wasn't for us, you wouldn't have that Larry O'Brien trophy. Oh, I'm so mad! Why the Celtics? Why? One thing that actually really pisses me off about all of this is I feel like if the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Denver Nuggets didn't have such a competitive series in the second round, I feel like they would have, if that was the conference finals, and they had 1 week to rest, whether it was the Nuggets or the Minnesota Timberwolves, I think they would have gone to the NBA Finals against the Celtics and potentially win against them. I'm not going to 100% say, oh, Minnesota would have whooped Boston's ass, but it would have definitely been more of a competitive series than what we got this finals. And I feel like the last few finals have just been very mid. And it sucks because at the end of the day, I do want all these players to be healthy and I want to see the best basketball. Which is why I think I really enjoyed the NBA bubble, because it was less traveling, involved. Plus, they did have plenty of time to rest their bodies before going into that bubble, which I think made the series more competitive. It just would have been a little bit cooler if there was fans involved, but obviously during that time, there couldn't be any fans. But I just think that, in general, I think that we just would have had a way better NBA Finals if Minnesota or Denver was in there. The Mavs were just not a good match against the Celtics. I think the Celtics pretty much outdid the Mavs in almost everything except for Luka Doncic, realistically. Boston, I think they have better big man, they got better wings, and they just have a more complete overall team, which is why in the NBA season, they were ranked number 1 in offense, and I believe number 3 in defense. And Minnesota, I feel like, is more of a better all-around team than the Dallas Mavericks, but I think the reason why the Mavs beat them was because Minnesota, they were just fatigued from playing against Denver, who was the former NBA champions, and I think that they overachieved this season, and they were just gassed out by the time they got to the conference finals. And it's so unfortunate because I really thought that Minnesota was going to actually go to the finals this year. That's what I was hoping, because outside of Brooklyn, Minnesota has always been my number 2 team. But it is what it is. Everything happens for a reason. I do think that Minnesota next year is going to be a scary team if they can just add a couple more bench pieces and potentially a solid backup point guard behind Mike Conley, who is getting up there in age. But when it comes to the Brooklyn Nets, like, what irritates me so much is that my organization right now, instead of rebuilding and focusing on depth, we still want to continue to try to get stars and build around Mikal Bridges. I don't understand why. The Boston Celtics winning the NBA championship is the perfect example to what the NBA is supposed to be in 2024. You're supposed to go into the NBA draft. You're supposed to get depth on your team. And the reason why the Celtics won the NBA championship, besides it being easy for them because every playoff series they had to go against injured players, they overall had a solid overall team. They had solid bigs, they had solid wings, they had great defensive guards that could also play decent offense, and they had ball movement. And the best example as well, the Phoenix Suns. They got swept by a complete Minnesota Timberwolves team because in 2024, big threes and super teams don't work. It's all about depth. It's all about all 15 players on the NBA roster. Even those players who don't even get minutes out there. And they go out there and play when the team is up by 30. It's all about every single player on the team. And it's becoming more team basketball, which is why the Denver Nuggets won a championship last season. And this season, the Boston Celtics just won because they are a better overall team despite the fact that they had an easy path to the NBA Finals. Ugh, it fucking sucks to admit it, but it's true. And I just think that with the Brooklyn Nets, man, they need to trade Mikal Bridges, and we need to just stack up on draft picks. We have the Phoenix Sun picks from the Kevin Durant trade. We have a future Dallas Maverick pick, I think in like 2028. And I think that we need to trade Mikal Bridges to Houston and go get our draft picks back. Because who knows where the Brooklyn Nets are going to be within the next 4 to 5 years. We could end up being one of the worst teams like we were back in 2016 and 2017 when the Celtics acquired Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. We can end up in another situation where the Houston Rockets select a future superstar that leads them to an NBA championship. And it will be the Brooklyn Nets' fault why that happens. Brooklyn has not drafted a lottery pick, I think, going all the way back to 2010 when we picked Derek Favors. That is fucking pathetic, if you ask me. Obviously, I understand the Kyrie and Kevin Durant thing, because when something like that happens, you have to take on the opportunity. But for an aging Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett, which were technically rentals for a decent Brooklyn Nets team during the time, it just didn't work out. And man, it's all about depth. And our rivals, the New York Knicks, over in Madison Square Garden, they have depth built around Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle. And that is why they're setting themselves up for success. And I hate saying that as well. It's all the teams I fucking hate that are setting themselves up for success. But it is what it is. Nothing we can do. I just have to deal with all these Celtic fans in my area just rubbing it in my face saying, "We are the champions." It is what it is, but I deserve a thank you. If you're a Boston Celtics fan and you're listening to me, bitch, I deserve a thank you. Alright, because if it wasn't for my team, you wouldn't have Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, which means you wouldn't have a championship. But in all seriousness, though, congratulations to the Boston Celtics organization. You're a whole lot better than we are. And Kyrie technically did get himself a championship for Boston by getting his ass kicked by them. Also, let me know in the comment section below, what do you think is worse? The Brooklyn Nets trading all of our assets that ended up being Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, or in 2016 and 2017 NBA draft, the Philadelphia 76ers and the Lakers didn't select Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum. Let me know in the comment section below what you think is worse, because honestly, I kind of feel bad also for the Lakers and the 76ers in this situation. But I feel like what we did is a lot worse. If you guys enjoyed me bitching, and you guys want more videos like this, smash that like button now. I am going to probably cover some NBA offseason stuff, Brooklyn Nets related on here. Just whenever. I'm not really setting myself. I'm not really trying to force it upon myself. If you're not a best one yet already and you're an NBA fan, highly recommend hitting that subscribe button now. Turn on the post notifications. The more support we get on the channel, the more it will motivate me to give you guys the best basketball content possible. The link's down in the description below. You can go follow me over on my social medias. And if you're into pro wrestling or toys, you can go subscribe and check out We Are Wrestling or Best One Donnie. All the links down in the description box below. But of course, to all the best ones out there worldwide, to the Brooklyn Nets Nation, hopefully things get better. And of course, you already know, we are not taking over. Peace.
I hope you're ready for the comeback. Steve Nash, I'm about to bring the sun back.